Rune is late.
No!
Rune is late.
It's almost noon.
Let's wait just a little bit longer, okay? We have to believe she'll be here soon.
Selphine and Ritona, I presume? Oh, who's this guy? Oh, damn. We turned around, alarmed by the unfamiliar low tenor of a male. We're not gonna give him a low tenor, you crazy game. A dark-haired, tall, well-dressed male. His eyes immediately caught my full attention, frigid and oppressive, as if his gaze could cut straight into the heart of all matters. I'm curious whether or not genetics are to blame. If not, what kind of traumatic experiences could make a man's eyes become so inhuman and bereft of life?
Can we help you?
Yes, my name is Rudo Savage, CEO of the... Well, I suppose neither of you would know what the abbreviation would stand for, would you? I'm Sarah's owner.
Sarah?
Owner? So you're a guardian of some sort?
Both of you were seen together in Sarah's company last evening.
Last evening? You must be mistaken, sir. The name of the person we were with is Rune.
Rune? The man's face suddenly contorted upon hearing Selphine speak Rune's name.
So, it's Rune now, is it?
I guess so, since that's her name.
Rudo let out what sounded like an incredibly exasperated sigh.
Let's set the record straight. The thing you both were talking with last evening, be it Rune or whatever name it gave itself, is, without an ounce of unreasonable doubt, Sarah.
Excuse me. I would appreciate it if you wouldn't address Rune as an object, because she is a bona fide girl.
Excuse me, but that is an object. A bona fide object.
That's enough. I glared straight into the abyss of his frigid pupils as I spoke. Speak your piece, or be gone.
Speak my piece, is it?
With that spoken clarification, Rudo began to approach closer in the ensuing silence. Rudo Zevitz possesses an imposing stature when in close proximity. He was easily an entire foot taller than myself. I instinctively assumed a defensive stance, preparing myself for anything.
Your pupils, they are beautiful pieces of art.
He left me petrified with that remark. Cold sweat escaped from my every pore.
The lush radiance flowing from your irises, exuding their brilliance through your eyes. It's reminiscent of the gentle glow of fireflies.
My jaw dropped in disbelief. Disbelief that this man would attempt to charm me with his antiquated flattery. I may have considered it a compliment had he refrained from looking straight into my eyes. From that moment onwards, I was blanketed with a blizzard of anger and hatred swirling within his frigid eyes.
Ritona.
You both are outsiders, masquerading under the guise of travelers, aren't you?
Excuse me, sir. What is it that you want from us?
So be it.
Rudo backed away, returning to his original position. What is wrong with this man? Does he bear some sort of grudge against outsiders?
Ritona, are you okay?
I'm unharmed, my lady. He merely caught me by surprise.
I'll get to the point. I want to know what exactly you instructed Sarah to do yesterday. I want to know why it would dare to.
Now that is quite enough from you. We don't know who Sarah is, but the girl we were with yesterday is Rune. If you're going to assert that Rune is Sarah, then we are going to insist that you provide evidence of your claim.
Unfortunately for you, I have neither the time nor the patience to indulge you. If I had to elaborate my role to you simply, I would consider myself Sarah's overseer.
Overseer? First it was owner, and now you're her overseer? You've only made
Sarah was caught leaving the premises of the Zevitz Enterprise Manamine with several sediment stones stowed away. Oh no!
Oh god, she was gonna bring us sediment stones.
Oh no! Oh god, Rune!
Also, with my chosen voice, this part right here is real good.
Several sediment stones stowed away within its garments this morning.
What?
Manamine?
The Manamine is currently being excavated, but Sarah, well, really thought it could sneak off with Class 4 sediment stones without me noticing. And for what? to bequeath them upon outsiders? Sometimes I really do wonder what goes through that thing's mind.
And it's being excavated.
It's just, my line of work. In Cadia is pretty peculiar. And unfortunately, I can't really share the details.
A peculiar line of work. I don't believe this. Rune is a mana miner?
Again, as I've been implying for some time now, Rune does not exist.
The girl we met yesterday. Are you trying to tell us she's a laborer?
An antiquated way to put it, but I believe that term is passable.
You're putting a girl like her to labor her life away? She's slender and short and honest and sincere. What kind of arrangement do you have her bound to, you slave driver?
Excuse you, but there's no arrangement. Sarah only does as it's ordered, because Sarah exists to serve.
Then you really are an owner, an overseer, a slave driver.
What are you getting at?
And you're treating Rune like your personal slave. Does such a practice still exist in this country?
Oh, for the love of mana, somebody shoot me. Sarah mentioned it had made friends, but I suppose it purposefully left out a crucial detail it wouldn't want its new friends to know.
Answer me. Is Rune in servitude? Is she a slave?
My lady.
That's a preposterous question. I haven't the time of day to enlighten you severely misguided outsiders about all the basic building blocks which form the foundation that we know as Cadia. There's little for you two to gain from knowing either.
If you think you're the only one on a tight schedule, you're wrong, Mr. Zevitz. So answer us.
Please don't address me in such a somber tone. Make no mistake, I came here with the intention of repaying you two for your lost time.
In the ensuing silence, Rudo retrieved a well-rounded, well-shaped sediment stone from his coat pocket. It was a rarity, in fact, to see such a perfectly polished, almost transparent sediment stone. It must be Class 1. If Class 3 and Class 4 stones had all those zeros, I wonder how many more zeros would be tacked onto the price tag of a Class 1.
You two are in need of sediment stones, no? Take this as remuneration for my delaying your departure.
That won't be necessary. You can keep your sediment stone, but I would like some answers.
I have to refuse your request, but I will answer this for you. Sarah is not a slave. There's more purpose and worth in being a slave. The reason for this evaluation is due to the attempted theft of company property, which is a serious offense. Make no mistake, I will personally see to it that this sort of violation does not occur again. If that was an unsatisfactory answer, I suggest you both dedicate whatever time you can spare to investigate for yourselves. I'm gonna have to put a hard stop to this meeting now.
Wait a moment.
Yes?
What will you do with Rune? What will you do with Sarah?
Why would either of you feel compelled to know what I choose to do with Sarah?
We're compelled because she's our friend.
Selphine gave a swift, resounding, and rupturing response to Ruda's last line of defense.
I understand your claim, Mr. Zevitz. Am I correct to assume that the issue at hand is the theft of your sediment stones? If it is, we'll gladly repay you for the amount she took. We'll do that much, so please, Mr. Zevitz, don't hurt Rune.
Well, that little spiel was quite unexpected. Tell me, exactly how do you expect to repay me? Surely, if you could have afforded a Class 4 sediment stone, we wouldn't have had the issue of theft to deal with, now would we?
Well, that may be true now. But upon returning to our homeland, we have funds necessary to remunerate you for your trouble, and
you expect me to take the word of a complete stranger? You shouldn't let your emotions get the better of you.
Rudo revolved once more in the opposite direction and began to walk away. Wait a moment. I am a monocrofter.
Ritona.
Give me the sediment stone you have in your hand, and I'll imbue it with my purified mana. Give me 10 or 20 similar-sized sediment stones. I can bridge the connection between each and every lump. So, would this arrangement settle the matter of Rune's theft?
I say you just opened up a whole new can of worms, young lady. That's not something people would normally admit to, especially not in public. And you appear to be such a level-headed individual as well. I suppose looks truly are deceiving.
What will it be? Are you going to pass up an opportunity to siphon purified mana when Cadia has no means of doing so naturally? I'd say it's suitable compensation.
I think you've seriously misunderstood my intentions. Let me share some insight with you. In Cadia, we have something called a judiciary system, which corrects the wrongs wrought upon victims by a guilty party. After ascertaining the guilt of those involved, they must be punished justly. The system exists to enforce the resulting punishment. Let the punishment fit the crime. Apologies and compensation make no difference, but justice must always be delivered.
No.
Is there anything at all that we can do for her?
Nothing. The fact that I, the victim of theft, am not pressing any sort of charges against either of you instigators should be settled in the matter. Today, I merely sought to ascertain your intentions for having Sarah steal for you both, but unfortunately, this meeting has been rather counterproductive.
But Mr. Zevitz!
I would suggest you forget about what I have in store for Sarah and leave the outer pole as soon as possible, lest you succumb to mana shock, especially you with the crimson irises. Having the ocular characteristic of a gentle glow is not a positive indication. I'd say you have 3 days remaining until you fully succumb.
Excuse me?
Mana shock syndrome. The radiance in your eyes will only continue to diminish during your stay, Mana Crafter. And when it does, you'll have completely succumbed.
How could he know so much? Just by looking into my eyes. Rudo Zevitz, who are you, really?
Leave Cadia now. That is the best course of action I could recommend you both take. That is, of course, unless you both have come seeking permanent residence in the outer pole.
With that sardonic statement said, Rudo Zevitz turned and left our company.
Oh, what do you make of that, Ritona? Ritona?
What can be made from that, my lady? Selphine couldn't force herself to break her seemingly dejected expression, could only look toward the direction that Rudo Zevitz had gone. I empathized with her. Somehow, I can't help but feel that I've been denied a chance to help Rune.
Is Rune really a slave?
I'm not certain, my lady. Rudo deprived us of a thorough explanation and merely spoke his piece. It's almost as if he intentionally avoided answering our questions.
Ritona.
Yeah.
I've been wondering about what the best course of action Father would have taken were he here. But I don't know. I'm still struggling with the horrible concept of slavery still being practiced and...
King Valor.
What? A choice? We haven't had a choice in this game ever.
I'm gonna say he would intervene. Ultimately, my lady, I believe King Valor would have chosen to intervene.
He would have, wouldn't he?
Rune, Sarah, whatever her true name may be, I hope she's still safe and sound. More importantly, King Valor would, without a doubt, seek to root out and destroy even the slightest implication of slavery.
Perceive, pursue, and punish.
That was King Valor's philosophy concerning any crime. While the other kingdoms of San Ajrizda would mobilize their forces for war at any perceived offense by another, King Valor would always recognize the existence of an issue and pursue it with the kingdom's resources before enacting punitive measures. The practice of pacifism, the reputation of Rughzenhaide, the values of King Valor, the path down Manacraft, everything needed to be taken into consideration so justice could be free from undeserved retribution. But I sincerely doubt that King Valor would condone the practice of slavery, even if it is a cultural difference that Rughzenhaide does not share. My lady, the Manacrafters' Alliance exists to uproot and eliminate any threats to not only the realm of San Ajrizda, but outside its borders as well. I believe it is our right to exercise the Alliance's authority. King Valor would have certainly decried any lack of action as injustice. I believe he would have. No matter the methods, King Valor would ensure that an end would be met. Justice is blind, after all, and what better way to give sight to the blind than to guide it to the light of our truth? I sincerely believe that in our current predicament, as ignorant and oblivious to the workings of Cadia as we are, the best plan is to take action. At the very least, I would like to ensure that Rune is safe and sound. Almost immediately, Selphine's dissatisfied expression brightened considerably into one full of hope.
But Ritona, we still have to consider the facts before we take action.
And almost as soon as her sentence trailed off, her expression returned to one of helplessness. The time limit and the mana shock syndrome, yes?
Yeah. I'm sorry, Ritona. I can't make this decision knowing it puts us both at risk.
An acceptable conclusion under our present circumstance, but I've already determined my next course of action. Let's set our own time limit.
What?
Rughzenhaide, he gave us an estimate of 3 days as the remaining time that we have on Outer Pole, but I feel we should shorten that to 2. I don't want to leave anything to chance by departing at the very last moment, so I propose we leave the day after tomorrow. Until then, we'll do everything we can to help Rune. Agreed?
I agree.
Your will is my bidding, my lady.
Ritona,
My lady.
I want to save Rune.
It shall be done, my lady. The best place to begin our search for Rune would be to ask at all the shops we visited yesterday. Thankfully, our shopping route is still fresh in my mind. Which store did we stop by yesterday that's closest to the central district?
Oh, how about the general store around the corner? The lady might know something.
During yesterday's excursion, we purchased a map of Cadia from an elderly lady with a stocky build who is currently preoccupied with cleaning her storefront.
Excuse me, madam? Do you have a moment?
Well, if it isn't you two from yesterday, how can I help you girls today?
If you have some time, we have something we'd like to ask you. It's about our other companion, Rune.
Rune? Sorry, I've never heard that name before.
I beg your pardon?
Madam, senility hasn't befallen you already, has it? Surely you must have seen her with us yesterday.
Oh, don't you sass me, lassie. I may be a fat old bag, but my memory's sharp as a tart as a ripe green apple.
Please, Rune is the girl who was with us yesterday.
Oh, you must... Oh, yep. Saw that coming. You must be mistaken, sweetie. The name of the girl who was with you two yesterday is Sarah.
I suppose we should start referring to Rune as Sarah for the remainder of our inquiries.
What's the matter with you two, clamming up on me with those sad-looking eyes?
I apologize for the confusion. We only ever knew her as Rune. You see, we only met yesterday and she said that Rune was her name.
Huh, curious. I wonder why Sarah would have done that.
I would greatly appreciate if you could reconfirm what you just told me, madam. Is the name of the girl we both were here with yesterday Sarah?
You betcha. I'd know Sarah from a block away.
The elderly woman shook her head slowly.
Sarah's been busy as a bee these days. Ever since she started working on the city's mana grid, I haven't been able to see her as often. Yesterday was the first time I'd seen her in a month.
Mana grid?
See that metal box over there? It's called a grid unit, connected to the city's mana grid.
The elderly woman pointed at one corner. Look, okay, part of me feels like the reason that they're so mana starved here is because of the grid. But they can't take the grid down because these people will suddenly have too much mana and they'll all die. So I'm like, oh god. Alright, anyways. The elderly woman pointed at one corner of her store toward a metallic box that was protruding from the ground. Upon closer inspection, I noticed several cylindrical objects protruding outwards from within the box and down onto the street below. What does this contraption do?
Taking neither of you were educated about the mana grid, huh? Youngins these days. Do you two at least know about the mana mine on the outskirts of the city? Mana grid's connected to that. It siphons the supply of available mana on site and distributes throughout the whole city by the mana grid. Once a month, owner sends out workers to swap out a filter or some doohickey inside a grid unit like that one to keep everything running smooth. For us folks in the central district, sweet little Sarah is the one they assigned to maintain the upkeep on our grid units.
They weren't only excavating the mana mine, they even had these boxes scattered throughout the city to utilize the siphoned mana.
Back to your question. The girl I saw you two with was, without a doubt, Sarah.
Something doesn't add up. Why would she lie to us? She even went through a whole shtick with Selphine just to reaffirm her name, so why? Why did Sarah lie to us about her real name? Did she really approach us with malicious intent? What other reason would she have for using a fake name? It's impossible. If she had malicious intent, such as entrapment, then Rughzenhaide would have willingly accepted my earlier offer. If they are working together, the prospect of extorting outsiders would be too good of an opportunity to pass up. And yet, Rudosevitz declined. If she doesn't have malicious intentions, then... I have another question, madam. Have you ever heard the name Rune before?
Rune, huh? Sounds like a pretty common name for a girl.
In mid-sentence, the elderly woman's jaw suddenly dropped. Her face followed suit and formed what appeared to be a somewhat stern expression. Actually, now that you mention it, I do remember someone with that name who lived in Cadia, but oh, the story was so horrible, so tragic.
Please tell us what happened to her.
The Zavitz family. That's family in quotation marks, mind you, not the company we're talking about. The Zavitzes had a daughter with that exact name. But if I recall correctly, girl died some 6 years ago.
She...
Died? Rune is dead? Wait.
Sorry to say, don't know all the details, but it was the talk of the town back in those days. Okay, new thought. Okay, either she's a robot that Rune's brain was put into, maybe, question mark. She's a zombie, but that wouldn't keep her from being hurt, right? That would just mean that maybe she'd be hurt but not care. What other possibilities are going on here? God, I don't know. Like, obviously, Sarah is a name that was given to her, but she... Oh, God. Okay, anyways. Sorry to say I don't know all the details, but it was the talk of the town back in those days. Colorful details came out disguised as the truth. It's just bedlam, I tell you. But what's true is that the Zavitzes did have a daughter named Rune. Nobody's seen her in so long, we all just figured the poor girl died. Oh, maybe she just didn't die then.
Madam, could you please tell us everything you know?
Well, they say naught but wicked things about her. Some say she's a siren. Others say she's the devil in disguise. That I can believe. Should have died before the Zavitzes conceived that little hell spawn.
Please, calm yourself for a moment. Speak sense, madam. This is an adolescent girl we're talking about. Yes? Perhaps you remember her merely as an overabundance of youthful energy that didn't channel it in a positive way, or...
Oh, I know the difference between a typical brat and the child of a demon, believe you me. I can tell neither of you believe a word I say, but I'm indeed describing a young girl named Rune.
No such child exists, madam.
You think I don't know, missy? I raised 3 little rascals of my own, I'll have you know. I know how bratty normal children can be. That little girl, oh, that witch was something else. Everywhere she went, you can bet your bottom gallow that disaster soon followed.
She's either building a very compelling case with her emotional output, or there's some truth to her account. How could you think that a child could intentionally be as you have described?
Just the mention of her name would make the hairs on your skin stand straight. And that's the worst that could happen just by passing her. Some folks weren't so fortunate, especially the ones that made eye contact. They'd end up bloody, bruised, so the rumor goes. Personality-wise, she was more mature than any other child I've seen. Children are dastardly schemers, do enjoy pulling pranks on breadwinners, but she took it to a whole new level. At the age of 7, she could make a full-grown adult uneasy. What kind of child can put an adult on the spot like that? Oh my god, I'm so confused now. Ugh. If you only knew how horrific that hellion was, you'd agree with me. She's probably dead and gone from this world. Good riddance.
Ritona?
My lady.
The Zavitz family, do you think they have any connection to the man we met earlier?
Rudosevitz? Obviously, Selphine. Hold on. Did you two actually meet with Rudosevitz?
We did, actually, just a little while ago.
I don't believe my ears.
Is something the matter, madam?
Rudosevitz is a recluse, that's what. They say he never shows himself in public.
Madam, Mr. Rudosevitz wouldn't happen to be related to Rune Zevitz, would he?
Rune was his little sister. Poor Rudosevitz. After the Mr. Mrs. and the little imp passed away, he had to grow up without anyone to love around him. Learning how to manage his father's company must have been a back-breaking endeavor.
I had no idea.
Excuse me.
Oh yeah, I'll be there shortly. Sorry, girls. Let's leave the grim gossip on that note. Got a business to run.
Oh no, you've been quite helpful. Thank you again for your assistance.
Thank you, madam. His little sister.
I feel as if we have more questions than answers now.
Ritona, do you think the Rune we both know is actually Rudozevitz's little sister?
I wouldn't count on it.
Why not? Nobody knows what really happened to her, right? The lady said it herself. Rune could be alive for all we know. could easily be a case of mistaken identity. I mean, her knowledge on the matter is all hearsay.
Even if we assume that the rune we know and Rune Zevitz are the exact same person, what could cause her only brother to view her as an object? Perhaps it is cultural practice to force the youngest in an Akkadian family to enter enslavement. I can only hope my paranoia is merely getting the better of me.
Ritona! Hey, Ritona! Earth to Ritona!
My lady?
Is everything okay? You look pale.
Slightly exhausted, to be completely honest. Feeling an uncomfortable warmth enveloped me as well. The numbing sensation is slowly eating away at what control I have left over of every muscle in my being. My purified mana must be slowly seeping externally, a sign of mana shock. I'll be fine. I'm more concerned about your welfare, my lady. Do you feel any different in any way?
Me? Oh, I don't feel any different. Nope.
Then all is well.
Mana shock should be affecting me too, right? I wonder why I'm not succumbing.
I have a theory.
Let's go into it. What's your theory?
Give us the science. Because mana manipulation takes its toll, mana crofters typically have a shorter lifespan than most. Longevity is essential in the role of ruling monarch of Rughzenhaide, and is second only to the insurance of the kingdom's perpetual peace and prosperity. As such, the royals of Rughzenhaide typically refrain from using mana croft, as usage adversely affects longevity. They mustn't taint themselves by performing the duties of their subjects, as nothing else compares to ensuring the peace and prosperity of the kingdom they rule, and Selphine and I both have our parts to play. It is exceedingly rare for you to ever cast mana croft compared to mana crofters, so perhaps the symptoms have yet to manifest as a result. At least that's one small positive sign. But if I succumb to mana shock first, I'll do everything in my residual being to take Selphine away from the outer pole. Otherwise, her symptoms may manifest.
Ritona,
My lady?
this is a royal decree, my royal guardian.
Anxiety gripped my heart as she declared those words unblinkingly.
You must care not only for my well-being, but for your own. If you feel that our time has run out, you must inform me immediately, and I promise you we will depart to the outer pole, or away from the outer pole, post-haste. And that is my royal decree to you, Ritona. Before our remaining 2 days have elapsed, inform me if your condition worsens.
I understand, my lady. At present, I am far from succumbing to mana shock syndrome. I believe what I'm experiencing is merely malaise from an unfamiliar sensation.
Okay.
Selphine speaks the truth, though. I haven't thought up any plan of escape from the outer pole should our situation worsen. We can't spend what precious time we have remaining by asking every proprietor we encountered. Isn't there anyone knowledgeable about the city, about its culture, about recent events, anyone who could point us in the right direction?
Ritona, something just occurred to me.
Oh?
Why don't we ask Mr. Hertzvon for his help? He might be able to fill in a lot of gaps the lady left open for us.
I.